Hi everybody, as promised, I'm going to be teaching you the tricks of the trade, everything I've learned over the last, 20 years. I had the opportunity to study in Italy, in Germany, in France, and so I want to just do this for free and teach you everything I know. I'm not just going to give you one key, two keys, I'm going to give you all the keys. So enjoy, and I hope that this helps you grow. The first tip I'd say that really caused me to have my biggest breakthrough, not just as an opera singer, but also as a crooner. I'd sing a lot of the jazz repertoire and a lot of the Sinatra Rat Pack repertoire, is the focus on the flow of air going through the vocal folds. If you think of the air coming through your voice almost like you're feeding honey into it, the sensation when I sing my high notes, it feels very easy. And so this really helps to dispel the approach where, it has to be like kind of give it your all, kind of, just give her the old hey ho. I've heard all kinds of techniques online. Some people say it feels like you're doing like a major abdominal crunch, which I think is totally false. I can sing a full high B and high C, and I don't feel like I'm doing an abdominal crunch. I think that's kind of nonsense. So the first thing I'd say is focus on the flow of air as being a consistent stream of air that feels relatively soft at the vocal folds themselves. But you do need to have engagement at your diaphragm. You do need to have the right placement. And you also have to have the right posture. So I'll be talking a bit more about that. So the first thing I'd say is start with the F consonant and just allow the air to come until the point where you feel engagement in the diaphragm. So start with F as though you'd be saying the word fudge. What you don't want is to have a really spread wide consonant. You're not going to really get anywhere there. You want it to be a bit more focused, a little bit more narrow. No more narrow than your nose, but no more wider than your smile. You want to kind of be right in the middle there. And I'm feeling that right here. And if you can see here in my chest, there's compression that happens between the diaphragm and the chest cavity wall. And what that does, that pressure between the diaphragm and the chest cavity wall, it actually causes the larynx to stay in position, okay? So I think that would be the first place to start. And then open that up into the place where you would fog a mirror. Do you remember when you were a kid, if you're on a school bus and it was wintertime and you tried to fog a mirror, right? That's the kind of breath we're looking for. What we don't want is or some like abrupt, expulsion of air. What that actually does is causes the vocal folds to actually vibrate at a very wide position, and it actually causes a lot of leaking air. And that's what happens with singers who get nodes or have vocal strain. The only thing that's actually going through your voice is air. And so it's really important that you learn to control that breath management. So let's try that again. We'll start with the F consonant and then open up to a place. Again, the imagery we're working with today is thinking that you're fogging up a mirror, okay? And then try and do that without the F consonant and feel that compression you were feeling in this region and in the diaphragm. And that's what we want to do. We want to focus on a controlled breath and a consistent breath. So the trick with this is that when you have your breath control, it stays consistent wherever you are in your range. If you're in your lower range, your middle range, your higher range. And so I think this is where people have trouble in the break of their voice. And the Italians call it the passaggio. And in this area, this is where we need to find equilibrium between the chest resonance and the head resonance. I'll give an example. Oh, it's all staying in the same place, okay? What you don't want is to just have this rapid expulsion of air that will cause the resonance and the voice to break. And it's also very strenuous on your voice, okay? So that's the first tip. The next tip, it's 3 points that you need to focus on for your engagement. The first place you have to focus on is the placement itself of the instrument. Many singers like Frank Sinatra talk about the mask, singing in the mask. Some vocal pedagogues, they're kind of vocal scientists, call it the zygamatic arch. There's all kinds of names. I think the easiest approach is to think of the look of amusement. If you were amused for a second, you'd be, there's this kind of lift, this natural lift that happens, right? And if you look at the side profile of any great singer, from Celine Dion to Pavarotti to Frank Sinatra, you'll see this lift while they're singing, right? You never want a docile, collapsed look. All that does is cause you to resonate in your throat. You want a look that engages all the resonation chambers here in your sinus and in your frontal sinus right here, okay? So think of the look of amusement. And try bring a little bit of a hum in there. And what I would recommend is after the hum, use UH as your starting place and work on that for the whole week. Just do scales on UH all throughout your voice and your vocal range. Start at the bottom of your voice, go up to where it feels comfortable. And what this helps is it helps to get the voice out of the throat and into this mask, into the resonation chambers here. And it's right at the back of the roof of the mouth. The soft palate will actually go up when you say this. Ah, ah, ah. What we don't want is and it all falls back into the throat. We want a nice open sound. The Italians call this gola aperta, okay? So let's try that in conjunction with our breath exercise. Now, pay attention to the position of your eyebrows, your forehead, your mouth. You never want to be closed off. What we never want is, it's all stuck in the throat, sounds nasty, and it also hurts too. So that's the second tip is focus on the engagement of the musculature in the forehead, in this, what we call the zygamatic arch here, okay? And a couple pointers, if you take gently, just your fingertip here, your pointer finger, just at the top here of your jaw, and have your thumb right here, just like that, very gently, you're not pressing in, just very gently, and open your mouth in that position. And you'll just see the natural engagement here. And also here in the frontal sinus. The forehead corresponds to the frontal sinus when you open up for your placement, okay? So try that on a UH. Okay, wonderful. The second point that I want to make in terms of the engagement, it's actually our third point, but it's the second point that follows with the placement, is the lean, okay? You want to feel as though your chest here, right in your sternum, is leaning forward slightly, okay? And we have that compression when we did that exercise with the F consonant. And you want to feel that sensation of this being a point that you lean forward, okay? And this takes a lot of practice, but I think the most important tip out of this is that you don't overlean, right? You want to be able to sing with the lightest lean as possible. Like if I have a lean that is, let's say it weighs this much as this little sticker here, right? Well, if my lean weighs that much, I could sing all night, right? But if my lean is like as heavy as this, or I don't know, as heavy as a chair, you're going to have very heavy vocal production. So this is something that you need to negotiate, is figure out how much to give in the compression between the diaphragm, the chest cavity wall, but how much you can get away with, right? You don't want to overcompress. Overcompression, not only will it make your sound small, it's also very taxing, and it puts a lot of stress on the vocal folds. You want to find a lean that is optimal for resonance, for sound, for the beauty of tone, and you want to make sure that it's something that you could do for hours. You know, you don't want it to be overly taxing, okay? And so the third is the engagement in the pelvis. When we have these three things working in sync, we have the resonance set up, we have the placement set up, we have the lean in the chest, and then we have a slight tilt in the pelvic floor and the pelvis as we go up, especially up into the higher range. This will help us achieve optimal sound, optimal vocal production by engaging your body rather than using, any of these small muscles in your throat. That's the last thing you want to do. Okay? So comment below, let me know what you think. And this is just the beginning of many series. I plan on going through Frank Sinatra's book titled Tips on Popular Singing. So I'm going to be going through each exercise little by little over the next few months, and I'll take you through that, and I hope that's going to help you. And until then, sing well, sing healthily, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. All the